Michael Gove is deflecting the blame away from Conservative politicians. This is regarding Grenfell, guys. I'm going to read into this more from Byline Times. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article from Byline Times with the headline, Grenfell, Michael Gove is deflecting the blame away from Conservative politicians. A legal settlement between various parties and the families of the Grenfell victims suggests where the responsibility for the 2017 fire actually lies. Guys, while you're here, before I give my thoughts, if you can, hit the like button and share this across social media so other people are aware of this video. So, what Michael Gove is trying to do is basically saying is that what happened for Grenfell, the fire that took place there, and the causes of it, it has nothing to do with Conservative politicians. This is him trying to basically hold his hand up and say, we had nothing to do with this. This is down to the companies that put in the so-called certain materials that were responsible, that caused the fires in Grenfell in the first place. It's their fault. They're the ones that need to deal with it. Well, I just have one little problem. Who approved these companies? Right, yeah. Now, I'm not saying that this is entirely all on Conservatives, because they have to remember that some of these houses and homes that have some of these combustible materials, we have to wonder, were some of these houses built by under Labour government as well, under a previous Labour government as well? So, is this a case of, is it the case that politicians have to take some brunt of responsibility for this as well, and not just a case of Conservatives? Yes, of course, these private companies, rightly so, for installing combustible flammable materials they're using to build some of these high-rise buildings. Definitely questions need to be answered and accountability needs to be made for these companies, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be accounted in any way, shape or form. They need to be accounted for. But why did the government not ban such dangerous materials and that could prove to be a danger to, or considered a risk? And I think that's the question that we need to look back on when we think about it. Yes, Michael Gove will answer that it's nothing to do with us. Well, actually, I kind of think they do. I do think politicians have a responsibility to have questions to answer here, because how much have they been taking this as well? So I do think that there is a question for them to answer with this as well. But let's read a little bit more into this, guys, to get our heads a little bit better around this from this report from Byline Times. So, Michael Gove is on the warpath. In the Housing Secretary crosshairs are the private contractors and suppliers to the Grenfell Tower. In Gove's view, they were to blame for the rapid spread of the fire which killed 72 people in West London in 2017. According to Gove, they now have a duty to put the right over high-rise towers and apartment blocks that carry the same insulation and cladding materials as Grenfell. In typical Gove fashion, he has not held back in his criticism, accusing cladding company ironic and engaging in shameful practices and displaying an abhorrent culture of disregard for the safety of residents in their home. Now, obviously, I agree with that. I agree that this company and and putting in these materials because they were cheap and easy to put in, I agree that they should be paying it back. I agree that they shouldn't be they shouldn't be taking so long, and they should be paying out of their own pocket. Not in any way the residentials or in any way, shape or form should be paying out. These company who put these materials in the first place, they should be paying out of their pockets to fix this. But again, I go back to who are the ones who allowed them to put in these materials in the first place. I think that, again, I look back on that and say, can we really safely say, guys, that the politicians and governments had nothing to do with this? I think, yeah, you can't completely rule them out of this. He claimed that the Kingspan, the Irish insulation maker, is a company that gives capitalism a bad name. Again, his characteristics, gun-blazing tactics, including using all fronts, including social media, to push his message across. Anyone reading his department postings, and there is more, could be forgiven for supporting an heretic. Kingspan and other firms involved in the 2016 installation of cladding and the installation at Grenfell were entirely responsible for the terrible inferno and loss of life. You see it all all the fault of the greedy, grasping commercial sector putting profits before people's lives. The Secretary of State ends with one dribbling with, "My government's department will continue to be driven by its commitment to protect people in their homes, people who bought their rented homes in good faith and whose safety continues to be threatened by your products deserve better from the companies who have exploited the basic needs for a home. Those companies do not share our commitments to righting the wrongs of our past and must expect to face commercial consequences." Yeah. And I've just seen that next paragraph before reading it. Is he just really ramping up the rhetoric just because of an election year, guys? It's an election year, and for Gove, putting himself in the shoes of a little man is a key part of the Tory strategy. By targeting private businesses, he is exploiting the old age myth that the Tories are on the side of big business. You mean the same businesses that are kind of, big businesses that are paying more now because of the Brexit checks that are going to be slowly introduced over time, that are coming up. First it's going to be paperwork and then it's going to be actual checks. Wasn't that under Conservatives? More paperwork and more pay for big businesses, guys. Oh yeah, and for the small little businesses, F you, is basically what they're saying. So yeah, saying that they're on the side of big businesses, yeah, don't think so, guys. Again, though, anyone who thought that the public sector had no role to play and that the Royal Borough for Kensington and Chelsea, where Grenfell stands, central government and London Fire Brigade bore no responsibility, that the tragedy was all down to commercial rapacity profit chasers. No, we do think that there were questions about the London Fire Brigade and their handling of it as well. On that day, excuse me. There were definitely questions about it because some people were told to stay in their buildings rather than evacuate, which I think was the wrong decision. And I think Jacob Rees-Mogg made some really abhorrent comments around that time as well, saying that the fire brigade knew what they were doing, and I was just like, Jacob, you don't know anything about it. Maybe you should just shut up, Yeah. Which is why it comes as a surprise then to read the Antelope and Kingspan are not the worst offenders. That is the worst is the local Royal Borough Council, and that the Gove's own government and the fire service should be more of a burden than Kingspan that gives capitalism a bad name. The blind man's settlement. So while the Grenfell Tower inquiry continues on its painstaking journey, 9 of those organisations, commercial and public, involved in the disaster undertook an ADR, an alternative dispute resolution, as a way of ensuring compensation reached the victims' families and those forced from their homes in a shorter order that they wanted for any political litigation to conclude. Represented by teams of lawyers, they agreed to meet before a senior judge who would determine the sum to be awarded to appoint their contributions. In May last year, it was announced that ADR was to pay £115 million to those affected, but how that figure was broken down was not revealed, apparently for reasons of commercial confidentiality. I've seen the percentage breakdown, and it shows top on 35.84% of is the borough of Kensington and Chelsea. Next is Ironic on 22.84%. Then Ryan Builders 10.84%. C-Tex manufacturer for most of the installation, it's 9.84%. The fire services share is 5.84%, and the government's Exeter fire testing is 3.24%. While Worldnews, which makes the fringe of the fires original and Gove's target Kingspan, are the smallest portion at 2.84% each. The accuracy of these figures has been confirmed. So the Kensington and Chelsea borough are going to be paying the most of this. If this is true, I'm not happy with that. I don't think the council should be paying the majority. I don't think the borough should be paying that 35%. I think that's BS. I think everybody else should be paying a lot more. Why should the borough be paying that amount? That does not sit right with me. Is it okay, the council bears some responsibility here, but should they be the ones paying the majority? Am I the only one who thinks that maybe that's wrong? That they should be paying the majority? In fact, I think they should be paying one of the lowest here. That's just my opinion. The Blyman settlement, so called after leading London's law firm where the nearly 2 years' worth of detailed behind closed doors discussions were held, was mediated by Lord Neurenberger, the former president of the Supreme Court. In all, 900 people, including those who lost their relatives and those required to relocate, agreed to the out-of-court settlement. The IGR route was chosen after a claim was lodged at the High Court in 2021. 5 of those involved at the Grenfell refurbishment, which is when the cladding was added, chose not to participate in the Blyman process. The CEP architects, Studio E architects, CS Stokes Fire Safety Assessor, Harley Fuchs's and Artelia's project consultant. Some firms have stepped up and others didn't, said one of Blyman's signatories. We took that view that you can't be a proxy where responsibility is concerned. The settlement does not have any bearing on the Grenfell Tower inquiry, nor does it impact any potential criminal action. Who pays? What doesn't necessarily reflect blame? That says the signatory. Yeah, now that is true. That is true. I did not state that it does. So when I made the point, guys, and I want to make this clarified because I said that yes, why the borough should not be paying that amount. I didn't say anything about that they should take more or less blame. I do think they should take responsibility, but I don't think that but in my opinion, they should not be paying the most out of all of them, in my opinion. But yeah, you shouldn't read into the fact that whoever's paying more or less. You shouldn't read into it that's how the blame game sort of thing is. Nevertheless, the absence of the official inquiry findings it is the nearest we have to appointing faults. Possibly because the percentages are supposed to remain secret, Gove is confident that he can lambast the companies, confident of not being challenged, and he can choose to ignore the larger role played by the public sector. That the Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea and the government also happened to be led by Tories at a time of the tower's refurbishment in 2016 is something else Gove may not be keen to dwell upon. Yeah, I get that, but I still doesn't just sit right with me. Because for me, I am sitting on this from an outside perspective. Yes, I know, but the borough didn't put in the insulation. The borough didn't put in. Did the borough know about the materials being used? Are the borough not? Is that what we are trying to make on the fact that they are paying that most? But like it said there, the pay does not necessarily reflect whoever's paying the most necessarily does not reflect the blame on it. And I think that's an important point as well. But I think there Michael Gove trying to make himself look like that he's taking them on and he's bringing them down and that kind of thing. It's kind of not even sticking. It's not really working to me. It's just like, dude, you're part of this Conservative government that people really, really don't like and disdain. I just think he's trying to talk tough. And trying to say, yeah, I will stand up for you, and I'm just thinking, yeah, but are you standing up for them? The thing is, one of the biggest issues that people don't know as well is that not enough of this material. There's still this material in the lots of buildings, the same material that caused this fire in the first place, and it's not been and still not been enough. I remember, I've covered 1 or 2 videos in the past about it, so it's not like enough is being done anyway to reflect this. So what do you guys make of this? What do you make of Michael Gove's deflecting the blame away from Conservative politicians? What do you guys make of so far the current situation in Grenfell? Who do you guys think is responsible, or in terms of who should pay more or less? Let me know your thoughts, guys, in the comments section down below. If you found this video interesting, if you can hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it, and share us across social media so other people are aware of this video. And if you want to financially support me in the work I do here, you can do so by becoming a YouTube member for as little as 99p, or you can do a super thanks found down below, or join me on Patreon for exclusive content. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.